It was just another Thursday morning when I stumbled into the bathroom, still half asleep and desperately needing to get ready for work. You know how it is when you're sharing an apartment. There's this delicate dance of timing and territory that you learn to navigate. For Alex and me, we'd been roommates for almost 8 months now, and we'd fallen into a comfortable rhythm. I always took the bathroom first because I had to be at the office by 8:30, while Alex worked from home most mornings and didn't need to be presentable until their afternoon meetings. It was a system that worked well for us, until that particular Thursday when I reached for my razor and found nothing but an empty space on the shelf. Let me back up a bit and introduce myself. I'm Jordan, 26, working in graphic design at a small agency downtown. I'm organized to a fault, a bit of an overthinker, and according to my friends, too cautious for my own good. I moved to the city after a bad breakup, looking for a fresh start, and found myself answering an ad for a roommate. That's how I met Alex, 28, freelance writer, with a smile that could light up a room and a chaotic energy that somehow balanced out my structured approach to life. Alex has this way of making everything seem like an adventure, even something as mundane as grocery shopping. There's always a story, always a joke, always something that makes me laugh until my sides hurt. From the beginning, there was something between us, a connection that went beyond the typical roommate relationship. We'd stay up late talking about everything and nothing, sharing bottles of wine on our small balcony, and occasionally falling asleep on the couch during our marathon movie nights. But neither of us had ever crossed that invisible line. I'd catch myself staring sometimes, wondering what it would be like to be more than friends, but I always pushed those thoughts away. The risk seemed too great. What if it didn't work out? What if I ended up homeless or heartbroken again? So I kept my feelings locked away, convinced that our friendship was too valuable to gamble with. So back to that Thursday morning. I stood in the bathroom, staring at the empty spot where my razor should have been, feeling a mixture of annoyance and amusement. This wasn't the first time Alex had borrowed something without asking, but usually it was a phone charger or the last of the coffee, not my personal grooming items. I was just about to call out when I heard a knock on the bathroom door. "Jordan, are you in there?" Alex's voice came through the door, sounding slightly sheepish. I might have borrowed your razor. Sorry about that." I opened the door to find Alex standing there, half of their face covered in shaving cream, looking both guilty and adorable at the same time. "I can see that," I said, trying to sound stern but failing miserably. "Any particular reason you couldn't use your own?" Alex gave me that smile, the one that always made my resolve crumble. "Mine's completely dull, and I have that important client meeting today. I was going to replace it yesterday, but then I got caught up in that deadline and completely forgot. I'm really sorry." It was impossible to stay annoyed when faced with that combination of genuine apology and charm. I sighed, leaning against the doorframe. "Well, I kind of need it too. I've got that presentation this morning, remember?" I know, Alex said, running a hand through their hair, a habit when nervous. "Look, I've only done half my face. Can I just finish quickly, and then it's all yours? I promise I'll buy a new one today." I was about to agree when Alex added, "Or, you could help me finish. Might be faster that way." There was something in the way Alex said it, a hint of playfulness mixed with something else I couldn't quite identify, that made my heart skip a beat. "Help you shave? Are you serious?" "Why not?" Alex shrugged, but there was a slight flush that wasn't there before. "It's not like we haven't invaded each other's personal space before. Remember when you had that terrible flu and I had to practically carry you to bed?" I did remember. I remembered how safe I felt with Alex's arms around me, how I'd wanted to pull them down beside me and ask them to stay. But I hadn't, because that's not what roommates do. "Fine," I found myself saying, surprising even myself. "But make it quick. I can't be late for this presentation." And that's how I found myself standing in our small bathroom, Alex sitting on the closed toilet lid, looking up at me with those eyes that always seemed to see right through me. I took the razor from their outstretched hand, our fingers brushing momentarily, sending an unexpected jolt through my system. "You sure you trust me with this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "I could give you a very creative shaving pattern if I wanted to." Alex laughed, tilting their head back slightly. "I trust you completely. Just don't make me look ridiculous for my meeting, please." There was something incredibly intimate about the moment, standing between Alex's knees, one hand gently holding their chin to steady it, the other carefully guiding the razor across their skin. I could feel their breath on my wrist, could smell the familiar scent of their shampoo mixed with the shaving cream. It was mundane and extraordinary all at once. "Hold still," I murmured, concentrating on the task at hand, trying not to think about how close we were, how easy it would be to lean down just a little further. "I don't want to nick you." "You're good at this," Alex said softly, eyes never leaving my face. "Maybe I should hire you as my personal barber." I smiled despite myself. "I think I'll stick to graphic design, thanks. The benefits are better." "I don't know about that," Alex replied. "I could offer some pretty good perks." There was that tone again, the one that made me wonder if I was reading too much into things or not enough. I focused on the razor, carefully maneuvering around the curve of Alex's jaw, hyper-aware of every point of contact between us. "You know," Alex continued, voice slightly lower than before, "I've been thinking a lot lately." "Dangerous pastime," I quipped automatically, falling into our usual banter despite the unusual circumstances. "I'm serious, Jordan." There was something in Alex's voice that made me pause, razor hovering midair. "About us. About this thing between us." My heart was suddenly pounding so loudly I was sure Alex could hear it. "What thing?" I asked, aiming for casual and missing by a mile. "Don't do that," Alex said gently. "Don't pretend you don't feel it too. I see the way you look at me sometimes when you think I'm not paying attention." I swallowed hard, frozen in place, the razor forgotten in my hand. "Alex, it's okay if you don't want to talk about it," they interrupted. "We can keep pretending if that's what you want." But I thought, maybe it's time we stopped dancing around this. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, too warm. I was acutely aware of every sensation, the slight tremor in my hands, the sound of water dripping from the faucet, the way Alex was looking at me with such open vulnerability. "I'm scared," I admitted finally, the words barely audible. "What if we mess this up? What if we ruin everything?" Alex reached up, gently taking the razor from my hand and placing it on the sink. "What if we don't? What if it's amazing? Don't we owe it to ourselves to find out?" There was a moment of perfect stillness, a heartbeat of time where everything hung in the balance. And then Alex's hand was on mine, warm and steady, anchoring me. "I've never been good at taking risks," I said, looking down at our joined hands. "I know," Alex smiled. "That's why you have me. I'm excellent at risks. Some might say reckless, even." That made me laugh, breaking some of the tension. "You did flood the kitchen trying to make homemade pasta." "One time," Alex protested, but they were laughing too. And in my defense, the YouTube tutorial made it look much easier. We were still standing so close, Alex looking up at me with half their face still covered in shaving cream, and somehow it was the most perfect moment I could imagine. Without overthinking for once, I reached out and wiped a bit of shaving cream from their cheek with my thumb. "You missed a spot," I said softly. "Are you going to help me with that?" Alex asked, and this time there was no mistaking the invitation in their voice. Instead of answering, I leaned down and pressed my lips to theirs, tentatively at first, then with growing confidence as Alex responded immediately, one hand coming up to cup the back of my neck. It was slightly awkward, the angle was off, and the shaving cream was getting everywhere, but it was also perfect in its imperfection. When we finally pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Alex had shaving cream on their nose, and I could feel it on my chin. We looked at each other for a moment before bursting into laughter. "Well," Alex said, eyes sparkling with amusement and something warmer, "that's one way to finish a shave." "Not very efficient, though," I pointed out, reaching for a towel to wipe my face. "You still have half a face full of shaving cream." "Worth it," Alex declared, standing up so we were face to face. "Definitely worth it." We stood there for a moment, the air between us charged with possibility. There were 1,000 things to figure out, boundaries and expectations, and what this meant for our living situation. But in that moment, none of it seemed insurmountable. "So," Alex said finally, breaking the silence, "what happens now?" It was a loaded question, one that would have sent me spiraling into anxiety just minutes before. But standing there, with the taste of Alex still on my lips and the certainty of their feelings reflected in their eyes, I found myself uncharacteristically calm. "Now," I said, picking up the razor again, "I finish helping you shave because we both have places to be. And tonight, maybe we could have dinner? A proper date, not just takeout on the couch." Alex's smile was radiant. I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. I gently tilted their chin up again, resuming the careful strokes of the razor. And maybe tomorrow we can go shopping for bathroom supplies. Separate razors might be a good idea. Or, Alex suggested with a mischievous grin, we could just make this our new morning routine. I kind of like it. I rolled my eyes, but couldn't suppress my own smile. You're impossible. But you like me anyway, Alex said confidently. Yeah, I admitted, feeling lighter than I had in months. I really do. We finished the shave in comfortable silence. The ordinary task transformed into something special by what had just transpired between us. When I was done, I rinsed the razor and handed it to Alex. All yours, I said. I'll use it after you're finished. Alex took it, but didn't move away. Thank you. Not just for the shave, but for taking a chance. I know it's not easy for you. The best things usually aren't, I replied, surprising myself with the wisdom. But I think this might be worth it. Alex leaned in for another quick kiss before stepping back. Definitely worth it. Now go get ready for your presentation. Go be brilliant. As I left the bathroom, I couldn't help but marvel at how completely my morning had been transformed. I'd walked in annoyed about a borrowed razor and was walking out with the possibility of something I'd been wanting for months but had been too afraid to reach for. Later that evening, as we sat across from each other at a small restaurant downtown, both slightly nervous but excited, Alex raised their glass in a toast. To borrowed razors and unexpected courage, they said, eyes twinkling. I clinked my glass against theirs, feeling a surge of happiness. And to whatever comes next. What came next was a slow, beautiful evolution of our relationship. We took things day by day, learning how to be roommates and partners simultaneously. There were challenges, of course, moments of doubt and misunderstandings, and the occasional argument about whose turn it was to do the dishes. But there were also countless moments of joy, waking up together on lazy Sunday mornings, surprising each other with small gestures of affection, building a shared life that felt more right than anything I'd experienced before. And every time I see our razors sitting side by side on the bathroom shelf, I'm reminded of that Thursday morning when everything changed because Alex borrowed my razor and I found the courage to finish the shave while holding their chin. Sometimes the most extraordinary love stories begin in the most ordinary moments. Sometimes all it takes is a borrowed razor and the willingness to take a chance on something wonderful. Looking back now, I can't believe I was ever afraid of ruining what we had. Because what we have now is so much richer, so much deeper than what came before. It turns out that the risk wasn't in crossing that line between friendship and something more. The real risk would have been never crossing it at all, never knowing what was waiting for us on the other side. So if you're standing at the edge of your own invisible line, wondering whether to take that step, let me tell you this. Sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with the smallest steps. Sometimes all it takes is the courage to help someone finish a shave, to hold their chin in your hand and admit that what you're feeling is too important to ignore. Sometimes love is just waiting for you to be brave enough to reach for it. And trust me when I say, it's absolutely worth the risk. Total _char_count, 18,240.